Well, isn't that fun? That video is choosing not to work. So, hello, my intro just failed me. This is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room, and we're doing a live stream today because I'm jammed up for time. I don't have time to record and do post-production edits and all that. So we're going to attempt to do this seat of the pants live stream again. And hello, Wizard Tower Games. One day you're going to write a book. Yeah, when you write that book, I want to do the foreword. So just a little bit of record keeping here. We are covering the perjury accusations that have been leveled against the TSR CEO, one Justin Lanassa, because they're kind of serious. Accusations made in the New York libel case. But as I was looking at that, I then uncovered some evidence, as many as 20 or more counts of perjury, potential counts of perjury in the bankruptcy case, which then begs the question of something in the WotC case where something has happened. But before I get too deep into it, a little bit of housekeeping. Last video I did on this topic, I was accused of going right back to more or less being a hypocrite and going right back to doing the snarky laugh at Justin Lanassa. And a timestamp was provided in that comment. And I went to that timestamp and I did laugh, but I laughed at the comment that was on screen from one of the people in the live stream comments. They made a comment about magic cards, and that cracked me up. So just so I don't get accused of being a hypocrite again, nobody's allowed to make funny comments that crack me up today. Sorry, just got to say no. Just kidding. Yeah, so sure, we're going to endeavor to just do this, cover the facts. Here they are. Here's what it means. And yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So that's number one. Number two, I have a correction to make, and it involves this. I had said in the previous video that Museum of the Bazaar was not entangled with all the other LLCs and was not entangled in all of this mess. And I was incorrect. And I was then shown this check. This check had been posted online. David Floor brought this check to my attention. It's from the Museum of the Bazaar to Donald Semora. And this was a check paid for the payment to purchase Dungeon Crawl. And so this check from this business was paying for something for the Nu TSR business. And that therefore that actually puts this business in place. So pretty much every single business owned by Justin Lanassa is entangled with Nu TSR, and every business is potentially unmasked from their LLC protections because of this. So I was wrong, and I have now been corrected. I stand corrected. So let me see. For clarification, that check is part of my public claim in the bankruptcy court. Yes. I have not seen everything in some of these court cases because I've discovered that the way I was running Pacer, I see certain things, but I don't necessarily see every single thing filed the way I was using Pacer. So I had not been aware of this. David Floor brought this to my attention just recently. I was like, where did that come from? So that is in the bankruptcy case. One more element of housekeeping I just want to say, and it's apropos that Wizard Tower Games is here, is that I do have a sponsor, and they are Wizard Tower Games. And let me, if you will humor me, I have to run a minute and a half ad spot. But it's something that I very much am behind and support. And again, with the no sound. What is going on? Okay. Well, I'm not getting any sound, so we'll just remove that from the screen. I don't know we're having some difficulty with sound. Are you hearing me okay there? I hope you're hearing me okay. You're doing, yeah, all right. So apparently the microphone is working. I can just bring up my settings and confirm, yeah, mic is working, but something has failed with the video clips. Oh, well, technology bites you in the butt. So just to review, in the WotC case, there was a non-disclosure agreement filed, and this non-disclosure agreement was filed by the non-disclosure agreement was filed by Nu TSR, alleging that Don Semora was in violation, and Don has disputed that. And I believe that he has gone so far as to hire handwriting experts, and he tried to actually get that into the bankruptcy hearing. And these handwriting experts have said, no, this is not Don's signature on this NDA. And most likely, I believe the judgment was most likely it is Justin Lanassa's. I think that was their judgment. And I bring that up because if that is the case, and that is not, nothing has moved forward on that in particular. Yeah, Vic. Perjury by Lanassa. It's if the NDA, nothing has moved forward in the cases. There's a stay, but if it's judged to be that the NDA is a forgery, that the signature on it is a forgery, then that would be a case of perjury. He could be prosecuted for perjury for that. So yes, we have hired one, and they verified that the signature is not mine and most likely written by Lanassa. So I just want to bring that up as context for this, because that is not the first what we're going to discuss today is not the first allegation of perjury against this individual. So I got to get out of here. Well, I need to bring up, where are you? Do a share screen. What's very interesting reading is the most recent filing in the New York State libel case. And I think what we need to do, yeah, here we go. Timothy Shank says, Don, didn't Hovermail say that he did not ask you to sign an NDA? That I do believe that is correct. And Hovermail confirmed, yes, that he never had me sign one. So it's interesting that there is one in that case. But here we have in the libel case. The libel case is essentially Justin has alleged that Erik Tenkar committed libel against him by calling him a criminal. Now, so that's the basis of the case. And we're going to just read some paragraphs from this. So the first paragraph is, this office represents the defendants. That's Erik, Erik and his mother. Why his mother was added to the case, we still don't know. So going to the second paragraph, says, since the onset of this litigation, Lanassa's flagship claim has been defamation per se, based on his confirmation that Erik Stina falsely accused him of having unspecified criminal history. After undertaking extensive investigation, for which the defendants are now seeking reimbursement, we determined Lanassa is, among other things, a convicted criminal. With this confirmation, we specifically informed Lanassa and the court that Lanassa would perjure himself were he to repeat his complaint's false allegations in a sworn statement. So Lanassa could say, I'm not a criminal, that's okay. But if he does it in a sworn statement with the court, that would be perjury. And so they so informed Lanassa and his lawyer and the court that if he was to do that, it would be. More specifically, on March 8th, 2023, we reminded Lanassa that his complaint appeared to characterize Mr. Steen's statements about criminal conviction as false, even though Lanassa is a convicted criminal. We invited Lanassa to clarify his position while explicitly reminding Lanassa he would commit perjury if he submitted a sworn statement averring to the fact that he is a criminal is false. At that time, we conceded the presence of ambiguity because Lanassa had wisely refrained from denying his status as a convicted criminal in a sworn statement. Since then, whatever modicum of restraint had been preventing Lanassa from consciously perjuring himself has lapsed. This is where it gets interesting, because not only did they go to the municipality and get a certified record of the conviction, that yes, there was a conviction, yes, there was some jail time, yes, there was a fine, yes, there was probation afterwards. And we're going to see that they provided it to Lanassa's lawyer and they provided it to the court. He has persisted and doubled down on this. So on May 4th, they issued an interrogatory directing Lanassa to describe each instance in which you have been convicted of a crime. On May 8th, not exactly hiding the ball, we sent Lanassa and Your Honor a certified record of Lanassa's criminal conviction, foreclosing any remarkably remote possibility that Lanassa somehow forgot he is a criminal. So they put it all out. Here's the record. Here's the record. They did not hide the ball. They did not try to play got you. This was not, Law and Order, where, where they question him and then they go, you just perjured yourself. No, they gave him the record and they says, would you care to comment? And he goes on. So he actually presented an FBI record. It's a identity history summary dated September 30th, 2021. And it turned out that had no basis in reality in supporting his claim. And he eventually swore on July 28, 2023, without making a single correction or revision. Lanassa provided a sworn verification to his June 16, 2023 interrogatory answer saying, pursuant to 28 U.S. Code, I verify under the penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct, that Lanassa has no criminal history. So he just absolutely doubled down, despite the fact that they provided the certified record showing his conviction. So we could skip right to the very end. I mean, they go into 10 years and 500 pages of discovery and all. We've never seen a more perjurous conduct. So they go into all of that. And then the very last statement here is, here Lanassa's false statements are willful and integral to his claims and sufficiently egregious fraud on the court to warrant dismissal with prejudice, an award of the defendant's costs and fees, and any referral the court deems appropriate for criminal prosecution. That is the nub right there, actually. That they're just asking the judge, they're just saying, look, this dismissal, they're saying that in other cases where there's a lot of case law where somebody has perjured themselves and dismissal is warranted, and in those cases, when somebody got caught, they came clean. Justin Lanassa's not doing that. He's not coming clean. He's not, all right, you got me, my mouth was open. He's not doing that. Okay, they're pointing out that in these other cases where the court said dismissal's warranted, fees and costs to the defendants, and criminal prosecution were warranted for the perjury. This case is different in that he's not come clean. He's been caught red-handed with the goods, with his hand in the cookie jar, and so it's they're asking for this. So how the judge rules will be interesting to follow, but this is what's going on in New York State. But what is going on in the bankruptcy case? I turned up and I had to re-listen to to his testimony in the bankruptcy hearing to confirm, because in the bankruptcy hearing, this is the letter of demand from Hardwire Tattoo to TSR. They had asked him to produce these letters of demand. He says, yeah, I'll get that to you. And in the bankruptcy hearing, he was asked, because they were questioning this $190,620.06 from Hardwire Tattoo. That's a substantial loan from one business to another. For a business that didn't even clear $30,000, to get $190,000, and then all of a sudden, well, we want this due. The problem here is that as the trustee was questioning Justin and I'd play the recording, but I would get in trouble because they were like, we don't want to see this online. You will be prosecuted. So I had to re-listen to it very carefully. He is very clear. The trustee asked him, do you have a promissory note? He says, no. He says, well, how did this get? So, well, every time Hardwire wrote checks to the IMX Law Group. So then the trustee asked, I'll get to that statement in a minute, that comment in a minute. The trustee asked, every time you wrote a check, did you sign a promissory note? And he said, no, sir. It's very clear on the tape that there were no promissory notes written each time a check was written. And there was just no promissory note. Now, this is the letter of demand that he has submitted to the court. But along with this, he has submitted a promissory note. Not one. I was trying to count how many. I got as far as 20, but then I got a text message and I got distracted. So it's at least 20 of these. This one is for $2,114. Then we go down to $5,500 on another date. We go down to $2,115, and then $5,400. And I mean, it just goes on and on. So there's at least 20 of these. I lost count because, like I said, call came in. So he very clearly says there were no promissory notes whatsoever. And yet he submitted all these promissory notes to the court. So, this is a sworn statement. The other was a sworn statement. One of these things can't be true. Well, potentially 20 of these things can't be true. 21 if you count the letter of demand. But so this is very suggestive to me that he's perjured himself again. And in light of the fact that he's submitted documents that now have a handwriting expert saying John never signed this, most likely it was Justin Lanassa who signed this. It's like, wow. So I've got one more instance of perjury to get to, but I'm going to handle some of these comments. Hovermail confirmed. Yeah, unscripted, unchained. I was sent an NDA by Hovermail along with a freelance writing contract, and thankfully I had the sense not to sign either. By the gods, I dodged the bullet. I've seen some of his contracts. They're written in such a way that you could potentially interpret them as whatever you do for us, whatever you think about we own. If we discuss something with you, we own. I've seen some of these things, and I was like, wow, it just seems like such a bad deal. Timothy Shanks, these are sole proprietorships. How the heck is he able to issue himself promissory notes? It's even better. Well, Hardwire Tattoo, yeah. Is it a sole proprietorship? I guess he has every tattoo artist working for him there is a subcontractor. And that's very much a cash and carry business. So that's how it was able to come up with a lot of money to pay for the lawyer, is because it's very much a cash and carry business. And, but he has floated checks from all of his businesses have been all involved. Now, the other really interesting thing in the testimony, the bankruptcy hearing testimony, was when he was asked about his banking, and the trustee was really digging in there. He says, no other online banking, nothing like PayPal. No, sir, just GoDaddy, and when I get the purchase on GoDaddy, I send the stuff out. So he's very clear. There's no other banks where TSR receives money. There are no other online banking. Now that might be true, but there is this little detail that we dug up, and I should get to share screen here. And this is a photo of this was posted by Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum on June 25th. It's a anti-monopoly board laid out on the counter at Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, the TSR Museum. And we're blowing it up right here. You see under the glass is this piece of paper. And there is a PayPal. Now, it's not technically a TSR PayPal. It's a hardwire77@yahoo.com PayPal. So you could do purchases at the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum, the TSR Museum. You could do purchases there, and the money could be spent, it could be done online with PayPal. They can receive money through PayPal, and but it's with Hardwire. So actually, there is a PayPal account that's being used by TSR to receive money. The question is are the monies being received by this PayPal account that is hardwire77@yahoo.com? Are the monies being accounted for in the ledger, in all of the accounting that's supposed to go on of what has gone on with TSR? Clearly, money is being received on the behalf of TSR by Hardwire. So Hardwire is all up in this business multiple ways, but this could be construed as perjurous, that he either came close to perjuring himself or that he perjured himself when he said there were no PayPal accounts, when there clearly is a PayPal account, albeit one labeled Hardwire, that is receiving money for things sold, for Nu TSR products sold at the Nu TSR Museum, which is also known as Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. So this is kind of a but it also makes you wonder, are these monies being accounted for in the bankruptcy case? Because they probably ought to. So that is rather interesting. Now, that, of course, then begs the question, in light of all of this evidence of perjury, who should we believe in the WotC case? Don Semora or Justin Lanassa? Well, Don Semora has never been caught lying to us. Okay. Justin has clearly been caught lying in the libel case, potentially has been caught lying in the bankruptcy case, and potentially there's now strong evidence in the WotC case that he has lied. So all of these things where he has, if there is a conviction for perjury, all of these things then fall like dominoes one after another, because all the other cases, well, Your Honor, we can't believe this guy. He's a convicted perjurer. So when it comes to the WotC case, they're going to be able to point right to the libel case and go, Your Honor, he's a perjurer. He clearly perjured himself. You can't believe anything he's saying here. So the bankruptcy case, if these things that I've uncovered, and I do have to, I'm not sure if I should give a shout out to the person who pointed me in the right direction, saying you should go and listen to that thing again and take a look at this. I'm not sure if I should out that person, but I did get a tip, and then I was like, whoa, oh, and I had to re-listen to the whole tape. And as I did that, I caught the PayPal. Wait a minute, there was a PayPal being received. So yeah. Wizard Tower Games. Yeah, it was Dawn. Pointed me in the right direction. Now, the other thing that is really fascinating about all of this is you have to stop and say, all the trouble that Justin is now having, of course, he blames it on other people. None of it has to do with him. It's all other people attacking him. It's the woke, it's wizards, it's Luke Gygax, it's Luke Gygax and wizards and all of us are on the payroll. None of it's his fault, except he's the one who sued wizards first. And now they've got almost $1 million claim against him, climbing higher. I mean, anybody goes into the dungeon hobby shop and buys dice, that's damages under the law for wizard. So every single purchase that goes on at the dungeon becomes damages in that court case. The libel case, he sued Erik. And Erik, like Erik said, best defense against libel is the truth. If you spoke the truth, you have nothing to worry about. And it turns out Erik did. Erik is a very careful researcher. So I'm pretty certain that he had very carefully researched Justin Lanassa, and that he had seen the records and knew that he was convicted. So when he called him a criminal, it was not libelous. It was an objective statement of fact. Now, what's really interesting, in light of the fact that Justin has brought this libel lawsuit, now because of the libel lawsuit, this criminal record, which was certified and submitted to the court, is now public record and easier to access because of the court case. You can just go to Pacer and then download the documents, and there it is. So anyone, and apparently this chap's Justin's butt, somebody calling him a criminal, but now because of the court case that he brought and that he stubbornly doubled down on, no, and I swear when the evidence is there that he is, from this point forward for all time, anyone covering him, anyone doing a vlog like this, any news reporter, they can call him a criminal. It's an objective fact. And it's an objective fact that is now, because of the court case, easier to access because now it's part of this public record. So you didn't have to go track down that municipality and, pay for certified copy. Certified copies already been paid for and now public record. But now you're looking at a perjury conviction that Erik's lawyers are suggesting that the court might want to consider referral for conviction for perjury. And, now you're going to be able to say anyone can point and go, he's a perjurer. And this is going to, because he brought this case and he stubbornly doubled down on, no, I'm not a criminal and Erik libeled and therefore I should get $1 million out of him. When Erik told the truth. And so from this point forward, because of this case, you're going to be able to allege that he is a criminal. You're going to be able to allege that he is a perjurer, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, he could sue you, but again, truth is the best defense against libel. So you will win because it'll be objectively true that these things are true about him. And these things will be very, very much public record because of his antics in the gaming community, forcing coverage by people like myself, by Erik Tenkar, so on and so forth. And now the bankruptcy case, again, you've got more than 20 counts of potential perjury in there. So it won't just be one case, it'll be multiple cases with perjury. These are certainly things he's going to have to answer to in the bankruptcy case. Very soon, under oath, he's going to have to give an account as to what's going on here, because this looks like perjury, and he's going to have to answer that. So, this is all on him, despite all the fact that people are attacking. He's brought all of this upon himself. So I'm just absolutely stunned by what I uncovered in the bankruptcy case after being pointed in the right direction. And Dawn did not enjoy having to listen to that whole tape. I had to listen to it. I kept advancing it 10 seconds. But yeah, no, it was absolutely stunning to uncover this. And it wasn't just the promissory notes. It was I have no other online banking. And clearly there's an online banking account being used. So I took one for the team. Yeah. Now, the one other interesting thing here that I noticed, and only throw this up, and I'm only just spitballing on this, is that, and I went ahead and blurred it out, even though it's not hidden anymore, it's public record, was this address. And this is his personal home address. I blurred out part of it, even though it's now public record, because it's also the address used on Museum of the Bazaar. Uses the same exact address. The demand for payment. This is the letter of demand. This is from Justin to Nu TSR. Shows hidden. Oops. Let me get it off of there because I was trying to hide that address. Shows the Hidden Valley Road address. The address for all of his records, where all of his mail goes to, is his personal home address, where he lives. This is his personal home, but it's also his business address. It's the address for all these businesses. And an interesting thing came out in the hearing as I was re-listening to it, when the trustee was inquiring about the rent owed to Justin Lanassa on the Front Street, I believe it was the Front Street location. Well, I went looking, and located at that address, I do believe, is the hardwire one of the hardwire tattoo locations. And as the trustee kept really grilling him on this rent, well, what happened with that? That space. Well, that was an office that was rented for me to use to conduct business and to receive mail. But all his mail is going to his home address. All his banking mail, his bank statements, the bank statements from Museum of the Bazaar, all his bank statements seem to be going there. And yet he's renting from himself, for Nu TSR, this space that supposedly had a desk as where he received mail. But it turns out it's actually the Hardwire, one of the Hardwire locations, and that he is not the owner of the property, but he is the leaser of the property. He has leased it. Him, Justin Lanassa, leased it, and he subleased it from himself to himself as Nu TSR so that he could receive mail there. But yet all his mail is going to his address. So these things are not adding up. And I think that these are questions he's going to have to answer more fully under oath very soon in the bankruptcy case, at the very least. I got a feeling that the New York case is about to go away. And if it doesn't go away, I think it's going to be very interesting what goes on there, because Erik's lawyers are suggesting criminal prosecution for perjury. And they wouldn't do that lightly. These are not, what we've seen of them is very smart, very brilliant, very capable lawyers. I do not think that they would recommend criminal prosecution on a whim. They're just not flying by the seat of their pants. So Don should receive remuneration from Lanassa email bombing his entire TSR email customer list that Don was a grifter. He did that? I was not clear that had happened. Wow. That is wow. I mean, but again, that's well within character. We've seen very much that sort of thing. The Timothy Shanks, that is coming soon after his bankruptcy is done. Oh, that sounds like civil prosecution to me, but I don't know. I'm not Don's legal counsel. Randall Porter, we need to go to the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum and buy stuff. If you do, save the receipt, mail it to send it to the WotC lawyers. So they'll just add that to the damages. And on top of the damages, they're seeking treble damages. So you spending $1 is going to cost him $3. Basically how that works. He didn't use a P.O. box. Apparently, he kept using his home address in Wilmington for all of these bank statements. The bank statement for Nu TSR had that address. Obviously, the bank statement for Museum of the Bazaar is that address. I got a feeling all of his businesses, Hardwire, the pot store, the vapor, kava, oxygen bar, they all address there. I got a feeling that's where, people become creatures of habit and they get lazy about things. So I suspect that's the address he has just used right along. And this story about, I'm owed rent from Nu TSR. I'm the biggest creditor. Well, he's not the biggest creditor anymore. WotC has just trumped him on that. They're the big dog in the room now. It's 700, 800,000 claim against him, almost $1 million. Might as well be $1 million. Probably will go higher. But this claim that I'm owed rent and I should be paid this rent is looking thinner and thinner as more and more comes out. That all of his bank statements were going to the house. He didn't need that office. It looks like a fiction. So that would be a case of perjury on his part. Probably a little harder to prove, but there's a clear paper trail. He clearly said there were no promissory notes. There's more than 20. I counted 20 as I was going through that thing, and then text came in and I was distracted. And start the live stream anyways. Now I actually called Justin Lanassa today and he declined to answer the phone. I was going to ask him to clarify his statements concerning, but he chose not to. So there's that. So Unscripted Unchained, I bought a t-shirt and a few sets of dice from Dungeon Hobby Shop back when it first opened. Did you save the receipt? I would send the receipt to the WotC lawyers. And if you need help finding out their email, I'm sure we can get that to you. But I would definitely scan the receipt and send it to the WotC lawyers. They have done a remarkable job. What was the amount of money they claimed as damages? 20 something thousand, 30,000, I forget. So that suggests to me they have tracked $30,000 worth of purchases on behalf of at the TSR museum. And so they're claiming that as damages. So if you do have a receipt, I would send it, because that would be damages that they're owed. If you're doing business under their trademarks illegally and you make commerce, then they can claim that as damages. So they would be entitled to that as damages. And under North Carolina law, they're seeking treble damages, which is triple. So definitely, if you're watching this and you have a receipt from the Dungeon Hobby Shop, or a record, maybe you paid with PayPal and you can demonstrate that payment, or you have a Visa or bank statement along those lines, I'm sure the WotC lawyers, not WotC itself, but the WotC lawyers would be very interested in that. Because I got a suspicion that they waited till the last minute to file their claim to just make a big splash. So I think that's probably part of the 30,000 that they reported. Okay, yeah. Clearly they have gotten their hands on some records for them to, I suspect they gotten their hands on some records, and they are, this is what we can track. This is what we're claiming for damages. So the WotC lawyers are very much on the ball. That just goes without saying. So apparently my videos are not working. I can't even do my end credits. So if there are no further comments, we will wrap this up. I've presented the evidence that I found. Erik's lawyers really stated in that 3-page pre-motion filing to the judge that, and I love that. It's a pre-motion. And we, just to warn everybody that we want to go to court and make a motion. So, and it kind of, it gives the other side a chance to get ready and not show up in court for a motion and say they weren't ready for this. Oh, you caught us by surprise. You know exactly what's going to be discussed at this motion hearing. So this pre-motion filing just keeps everybody, there's no hiding of any footballs here. There's no double fake and run around and quarterback sneak. There's none of that going on. So that's going to be very interesting. They've really laid out the perjury case extremely well, and kind of hilarious, kind of funny the way it is. It's modicum of any discretion was thrown to the wind, and he doubled down. Even though they look, here's the record. Here's the criminal record. And we didn't even discuss this was really fun. Let's bring it up. There's a really funny admission by him in here, where he says, where is it? That there was, he makes an admission that he's not a criminal, that there were charges for terroristic threatening and assault that were dismissed for self-defense. Now, I had to look up terroristic threatening. Terroristic threatening sounds bad. It sounds, ooh, terrorism, the day and age we live in. That really sounds bad. So I looked it up, and according to Wikipedia, terroristic threats is a threat to commit a crime of violence or a threat to cause bodily injury to another person, and terrorism as a result of the prescribed conduct. Several states have enacted statutes which impose criminal liability for terroristic threatening or making terroristic threats. So it's not terrorism. He was not conducting terrorism, but he made a threat to, I'm going to beat your whatever, might have thrown a punch. Those cases, he admits those cases were dismissed. He was on leave in the Army is what comes out. It just kind of, those sorts of things. I'm like, wow, there's a story there. Makes you wonder what the story is. So Randall Porter, you are welcome. And Timothy Shanks, if WotC didn't already have lawyers on retainer, then their attorney fees would actually have been higher. Oh, interesting. Yeah, they must keep, Hasbro, WotC, they must have lawyers on retainer, already a business relationship going with them. It just doesn't seem very smart to poke a bear with deeper pockets than you. It's like at school. You remember in school, somebody wanted to prove they were tough, so they're going to pick a fight. A lot of times what happened, now I know in movies, guy goes into prison and he picks out the biggest dude, and he goes over there and he boot stomps the biggest, so he lets everybody know I'm bad. Well, I remember in school what it was you wanted to prove you were bad, so I gotta have a fight because I'm gonna beat somebody, and that'll prove I'm bad. But what happened is they would, all right, who can I beat? Let me pick on Scotty because he's the shortest kid in the class, so Scotty's the shortest kid in the class. So I'll pick a fight with Scotty. Okay, except there's a lot of fighting Scotty, right? And Scotty ends up beating the other guy's butt, despite the fact he's the shortest kid in class. He's a little chunky, and he just kind of plowed into that. So, you see this kind of thing going on. You don't go picking a fight with the grizzly bear if you're just a panda bear. You don't go, all right, I'm at bear school. WotC is as big as a grizzly bear, and you don't even rate as big as a panda bear. So you don't go pick a fight with WotC, but that's what he did. And it's made no sense. It's made no sense to any of us. And of course it was dragging out, and we were like, when is this? We just want to see this get to court. We just want to see it resolve. And, it was dragging out. And then you had the libel case, and that was dragging out. And then the bankruptcy. The bankruptcy really is the turning of the corner. It's as the minute it happened, I thought, this is it. This is where we turn the corner. This is where he's going to get held to an account by somebody with power to force him to give an account, and he's not going to like it. And the house of cards is beginning to topple. The threats, you can make a threat against the big guy and then run away. That's almost kind of what you have with the WotC. You can make a threat, and then, we're going to have a stay because I've declared bankruptcy. Well, that stay could get lifted, or the bankruptcy could end, and then the stay is lifted. Then that goes forward. So none of this is going to end well, sad to say. And, you know, there's just been this doubling down and pushing forward in the libel case. And now it looks like he's guilty of perjury. That case is well laid out. The perjury is well laid out there. And they did point out in that there have been people who were caught. They got caught with the goods, with their hand in the cookie jar, and so they came clean. And even in those cases, they still got in a lot of trouble. It's amazing to me that he has not chosen to try to settle. But then again, maybe WotC doesn't want to settle. Maybe they want to make an example of him. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. And if somebody does know, I'd love to hear. If somebody has a line on what WotC's thinking, I would love to hear that. But who knows whether they will settle, if they'll what they're going to settle for. I think they're going to settle for $1 million in the end. They're close enough to $1 million, and if this drags out, so it would be in his interest to come clean. It'd be in his interest to fall on a sword, come clean, and try to get out of this with some semblance of self-respect. All right, I did it. I was wrong. And you fall on your sword, do a mea culpa, and then pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go back on. He has a trade. He can pursue that trade. He can rebuild his business empire. If he loses all the tattoo parlors, if he loses the Museum of the Bazaar, if he loses the Dungeon Hobby Shop, he can rebuild. He can come back, providing he doesn't go to jail. But if he forces them to convict him of perjury and crimes, it's hard to see. It seems like the climbing back, the comeback, it's going to take longer. So, not going to say well, they're not going to give him assent. But like if his father said, look here, I've been sitting on $1 million. Here's $1 million. Ask WotC if they'll settle. Ask WotC if they'll settle. Here's $1 million to do that with. So it's WotC that's looking for money, and WotC will settle, could potentially settle for money, or they could just be like, no, we're going to make an example of him for all time. And that'll be that. Nobody will screw with us again. Nobody will. We won't have to revisit this story again, because they had this story with Evil Hat. Evil Hat was attempting to squat on the Star Frontiers trademark, and WotC said, "Oh yeah, game on." And Evil Hat was like, "Stick a fork in us. We're done. Done. Tap us out. Okay, we got bigger and better things to do." So that everybody thought, oh, well, it's done. But no, along comes Justin Lanassa, squats, doesn't just squat, sues. And they're like, really? Are you kidding us? So I don't see that there's any value to this going on. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion. He's lost. There's no way for him to win. There's no way for him to win in any way. But I don't see the point in persisting with the WotC lawsuit. Might as well settle if you can. If there's any way you can get out of this, you should. I mean, I would have fallen all over myself if I'd had a fit of stupidity. I would have fallen all over myself to end the WotC case as soon as possible. I would have actually never brought it in the first place. But if he was smart, he would try to get out of it. If he was smart, he'd try to settle with Erik, but I don't think Erik's in a settling mood. I think Erik's case is wrapped up. If he was smart, he'd come clean with the trustee. Say, you know what? I'm sorry. Sorry for wasting your time. Here's the truth. Here's all the records. I'm sorry. He could get out of some of this. And maybe they wouldn't press charges for perjury. But I don't know that he's going to make that decision. I consistently see him doubling down. So, yeah, I don't know. I do know that I think we're going to see fireworks real soon in the libel case. And that's when the cards really start to fall. Because everybody else can point to that and go, why would you even believe his testimony? He's a convicted criminal, public record, and he's a perjurer. It's in the public record. And then all those other cases just fall apart. And nothing he says will be believed. Nothing he says will be trusted. And the opposition will be able to go, see, you can't trust anything he says. Therefore, you must believe me. I must be telling the truth. I'm not a convicted perjurer. That's how that works. He's very likely a malignant narcissist. Can't back down. His personality won't let him ever admit fault or failure. That is probably an accurate assessment of the behavior we have seen out of him. So if it had been me, we would have never been here. We would have never been here. I just wouldn't have done these things in the first place. But if I'd had a fit of stupidity and started this path, I would have gotten off of it as soon as possible. And I think most people would have. I think most people wouldn't have gotten on the path in the first place. But if they'd had a fit of stupidity, because, hey, we all do dumb things, they would have endeavored to get off the path as soon as possible. So, all right. I think we can wrap this up. That was my 20 counts or more of potential perjury I found in the bankruptcy case. I think he will be called to answer for in the next hearing under oath. Next time he's under oath in the bankruptcy case, I'm sure those are questions that people want answered. The WotC case going forward will continue to be of interest, and I expect we're going to see a resolution in the New York State libel case based on perjury, based on that wonderfully written letter by Erik's lawyers. That was just, it was just great reading. So thanks for watching. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, bell icon. And again, thanks for watching. Hey, and thanks. None of you said anything really funny that cracked me up and then got me in trouble for laughing. So have a good day. Keep on gaming.